Hi guys, my name is Rachel. I'm a calligrapher with Heart of Wisco Art Studio. I am on here today to show you some tips and tricks that I find helpful with chalk markers, and specifically the Marvy Uchida Bistro Chalk Markers. I've been doing this for about 6 to 7 years now. I started with more illustrations with chalk markers and eventually transitioned to learning calligraphy about 5 years ago. I learned from watching other people on YouTube and learning it myself. I have kind of always been able to do illustrations, so even going back to like high school, I always loved to draw using all kinds of mediums. So a lot of it was pencil, paper, painting. I even did all that, and it kind of has always been a passion of mine to do lettering. I'm a little bit surprised it took me up until 5 years ago to learn calligraphy, but I'm so glad that I did, because it has opened up so many doors for me to be able to provide this service for all kinds of occasions now and share it on my own social medias for people to learn from me, hopefully. And I can kind of give back what I learned from other people to, you know, people that are just starting or people that have been doing it for a long time now who might benefit from learning just a different person's aspect and just tricks from someone else. So today I wanted to give you some of like the most helpful tips that I find useful that I use in all of my projects that I do. And I wanted to start with something as simple as just using a straight edge. So using a straight edge, I just kind of line it up with the edge of the chalkboard, and following this is a good way to get your lettering uniform. And while you're doing the lettering, it's really nice. These markers work well with needing to use more pressure for a bolder line or pressing lighter to get a really precise line depending on what you're needing to draw. So right now I am pushing a little bit harder just because I want these letters to be a little bit more bold. But if you push lighter, you'll be able to get more of like that precise detailed look. So there's an example using just a straight edge scrap piece of paper. The second thing I'm going to talk about is the use of paintbrushes with lettering. This works really well for blending. You can use dry brushes or with water, depending on what I'm doing. I kind of will use some of each. And then right here I have the banner drawn. And what I want to show you with this is how the paintbrush effect works for blending. So what I'm going to do is just try to blend out these side parts of the banner. So you're gonna start by just putting a good amount of the chalk marker in the area where you want it to be, and just using a dry paintbrush. And I kind of try to fade it out a little bit, just because the goal here is to have more of a blended, faded look. So using the paintbrush, you'll be able to get that. And then I'm gonna want it a little bit darker in here. So you can kind of drag the brush or tap it in the areas if you want the chalk marker to stay more heavy in certain areas. And then we'll go down to here and just do this part as well. So you can see that just this really is a good way to blend out what you're doing. So this part turned out a little bit better, actually dragging the paintbrush on its side versus the top. We got more of that ombre effect. And I'm just using a really light hand to kind of get the chalk marker where I want it to be. And then you can kind of go in with your marker and touch up the areas once you're done blending. Like that. This is a fun summer nights is what I'm going to write on here. So I figured use like a bright, vibrant pink for that part. So using this, I'll show you kind of how we can press lights and then harder to get that more bold look. Then I'll just go back in and kind of fill in the down strokes to get those parts a little bit bigger. And then to go on the upstrokes, I'm just putting a little bit lighter pressure just because you don't want it as thick there. And as you use these markers, the tip of the marker actually gets a little bit softer. So you can you'll feel the difference. You can kind of control it a little bit more when you want to push more pressure. Initially, it's a little bit stiff until you get it broken in a bit. But both ways I find work really well for lettering. And actually, when it's a new marker, I find that I can be a little bit more precise. So depending what I'm doing with the markers, I'll like to just take out like a brand new white one, and then I can get my lettering a little bit more precise. And these markers last so long.
All right, so there we have Summer Nights.
All right, guys, that's all the tips and tricks I have using Marvy Uchida's chalk markers. Make sure to follow along on Marvy Uchida's YouTube channel to learn more creative ways you can start your art journey with Marvy Uchida.